All right, hi, Sean Still, and in this video we are going to talk about completing our sprint or closing our sprint out. So we're going to navigate to our test project, and we can see that everything is done. When we look at the burn down chart, we can see that there is time remaining, but the team has decided, in this scenario, the team has decided that there's nothing that they can accomplish in that time frame. So there's nothing preventing us from just simply shutting the sprint down. And that's exactly what we're going to do. All right. So a couple different things, a couple different ways that we can do it, right? Is we can go to the backlog. We can edit the sprint, and if we really want to, we can change the time frame. It gives us that opportunity, and I'm going to do that right now. All right, so I'm going to say that the sprint ended, and I'm just going to call this 10:45. And I'll hit update on that, and you can actually see that that update will actually have an impact on our burn down chart. Because you can see that it pulled the time frame in a little bit. But we need to complete the sprint, which means that we need to go to the active board. All right, and in the upper right hand column there's this big button up here that says complete the sprint, and we're going to go ahead and select that. When we select it, it will tell us, it will just tell us really quickly, hey, you're completing this sprint, there are 14 done. Incomplete issues will be moved to the backlog. So what that means is that if there was an issue that didn't get completed that we haven't dealt with, it's automatically going to move it to the backlog. And then we'll have to deal with it in the backlog. All right, but that's not what we wanted to do. We wanted to get that story into the next active sprint. Because the story has had work done to it. It's very close to finishing. So we want to make sure that we have the opportunity to complete it. All right, so if we don't take any action, it's going to move it really far down into the backlog, but we've already taken that action. We've moved the story into a planned sprint. So we're going to go ahead and hit complete, and that's that. All right, the story is now closed out. And when it closes out, one of the first things it does is it opens up what we call the sprint report. And the sprint report is a great report that JIRA produces, and it gives us some really key information regarding the sprint. Working from the top down, we see that the title, we see who it was closed by, we see when it was closed. If we do have any linked pages, those will be shown to us. The title of our sprint, it gives us a snapshot view of our burn down chart, and then it gives us a status of all the stories that are represented in our burn down chart. So this is a list of all the completed issues. Notice up here it has an asterisk. Issues added to sprint after the start time. In other words, it was something that we added to the active sprint. And if we look at our list, we find this one down here that has that asterisk, and that is the story that the team agreed to pull into the active sprint. But luckily it completed. The other one is it also tells us what stories were removed from our active sprint. All right, so what was the impact of the scope? And that is listed right here. There's also another way that we can look at the stories. We can look at it in an issue navigator. I'll just show you really quickly what that looks like. We go ahead and click on it, and it just gives us the big long grocery list of issues that we can click through if we want to see any of the details behind the stories. But we're going to go back to our project. And back to our sprint report. Tells us how many story points were completed, tells us the value of those particular stories, gives us the summary, and same thing with the issues down here as well. Really good for, this report is really good for understanding what happened during the sprint, especially if you got a sprint that had some scope change occur to it, because it does a really good job of identifying what the scope change was. And that is our sprint report. Okay, you can see active sprint. If we go to it, there are no active sprints, so we have to get ready and start our next sprint. And I'm going to take care of that in a future video, launching a new sprint. But that's how you close out a sprint, and that is the impact it has to our burn down chart and our sprint report. Look forward to talking to you in the next video.